Good morning, students. Today's session we will discuss the topic the limits of civil disobedience. In this topic, we will cover the social groups which are not involved, which didn't take active participation in the civil disobedience movements and the reasons behind it. Before we start, let's recapitulate the points we have covered till now. We have started our lesson with discussion on First World War and impact of First World War on India, followed by Gandhiji's entry in India and his gift of Satyagraha, 3 Satyagraha movements led by Gandhiji which were successful. So inspired by that, Gandhiji wanted to start Rowlatt Satyagraha and the act passed at that time which is known as Rowlatt Act, leading to violence and leading to Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Then looking at the spread of violence, Gandhiji has called up the Rowlatt Satyagraha. Then he planned to start on a bigger phase. He wanted to include Muslims and Hindus together. At this time, Muslims were going on with Khilafat issue. So he planned to start non-cooperation movement by clubbing Khilafat and Swaraj issues together. And 1921, the non-cooperation movement started. And then we have discussed the areas, regions where this non-cooperation movement has spread and how people have perceived non-cooperation movement, what are their notions about non-cooperation movement. Then we have discussed the reaction in towns, then in countryside, then tribal area, and then comes the plantation. But followed by violence in Chauri Chaura, finally Gandhiji called off non-cooperation movement in the year 1922. Once the non-cooperation movement called up, 3 major incidents took place. One is Swaraj Party, set up by Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. And then 2 major factors which shaped the political scene at that time in India. So one is great economic depression which is going on all over the world. It has impacted Indian peasants and farmers also. And then 1928, the Simon Commission reaching India, people objecting to it, Simon go back slogan, the Simon Commission. Followed by looking at the restlessness of Indian political leaders, Viceroy, at that time Viceroy was 1928 time, Viceroy was Lord Irwin. So he has given the proposal of dominion status to India, and this is dual government, and they need to attend the first roundtable conference. But our Indian leaders, national leaders, they were reluctant, they were not agreed with the Lord Irwin's proposal. At that time Nehru has given the call for Purna Swaraj. First time the idea of Purna Swaraj has reached, means now they won't, here if you can see, so first Indian leaders, they wanted just Swaraj in the sense Indian administration will be in the hands of the government, but ruler, head of the government is the British itself. But now first time Nehru has given the call for Purna Swaraj. He said that we do not want Britishers at all. All the Britishers need to move away. We will rule ourselves. Followed by this, he has given a call for celebrating Independence Day celebrations on 26 January 1930. Not much public response to that. Then they all went to Gandhiji to start one more mass movement. Then Gandhiji has sorted out the plan and he wrote a letter to Lord Irwin which he didn't respond. So finally Gandhiji has to start the Dandi March, or also known as Salt March, to break or to violate the salt law. By breaking or violating the laws, Gandhiji has started the civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement in the sense not obeying the laws or violating the laws. So by breaking the salt law, Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement in different corners of India. Many people have actively participated in it, but at the same time violence also spread a lot. All the big leaders were in the jail and some lakhs of people are in the jail. British has become more brutal now. They started beating women and children also. Women also been arrested and kept in jail. So they looking at the violence, Gandhiji called off the civil disobedience movement in the year 1931 and he entered into an agreement, into a pact also known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact. As per the pact, he need to go to London to attend the second roundtable conference. So he called off the movement. He went to London to attend the second roundtable conference, but he is not satisfied with it. Reason, There, instead of discussing about Swaraj and India's freedom, Indian administration, Britishers started discussing about the communal politics. That is our topic of discussion today. So we'll discuss in detail about it. Okay. So after coming back, he is not at all satisfied with it. He come back. After coming back, he has seen that Congress declared illegal. Even Nehru and Abdul Ghaffar Khan still in the jail. So he relaunched civil disobedience movement, but not much active participation this time. Slowly by 1934, it lost its momentum. Last session, at the last video, we have discussed how different social groups participated in the movement and what is their motion. Special notion of civil disobedience movement, and in what way they have pursued the civil disobedience movement and what is the reason that they involved in it. First, rural area. Rural area, we have discussed the two groups. One is the rich peasants and poor peasants. Rich peasants took part in the civil disobedience movement with an intention of reduction in revenue, whereas poor peasants with the intention of reduction in revenue along with no rent to the landlord. These two were their opinions. When it comes to urban area, industrialist. Industrialist wanted freedom of market and no colonial restrictions on Indian products. And workers took part in the movement with an idea of against low wages and poor working conditions. They thought that with this civil disobedience movement, their working conditions will be better and they will get good wages. When it comes to women, first time civil disobedience movement special feature is women has come onto the streets for the first time and they took part in the civil disobedience movement. For them, taking part in civil disobedience movement in the sense service to nation as a sacred duty. Though many people in India, in different corners of India, have taken active part in the civil disobedience movement, there are few social groups which are very reluctant. They didn't take part in the civil disobedience movement actively, and those two social groups were, one is Dalit, another one is Muslims. So today's topic will discuss in detail about the reasons behind their inactive participation. First, let's discuss about Dalits. And Dalits, as I said many times, caste system. If you can remember, and you have studied in your previous classes also, in your lower sections also, about caste system prevalent in India. A section of the society is being treated as untouchables. These untouchables have never given proper access to entry into the temples or wells, or not even the education system. But once English education is been introduced, Britishers have given education to all. So at that time, few untouchables have got the privilege to go to the schools and attend, but with lot of difficulty they have attended the schools and completed their education also. Now here we will discuss about the people. First they were called as untouchables. Later on they started calling themselves as Dalits or oppressed. Dalit are oppressed. These are the words used for earlier. If we say it as Shudras or untouchables, then later on they started 1913s. They started calling themselves as Dalit or oppressed. Whereas Mahatma Gandhi has given a name to them as Harijans, the children of God. Clear? But for many years, even Congress party also ignored the Dalits. Reason? They were afraid of the Sanatanis. Here Sanatanis in the sense high caste Hindus, conservative high caste Hindus. And Congress party consisted of majority of the people are Brahmins here. So they were afraid, they were reluctant to take Dalits into consideration, Dalits demands into consideration. Whereas Mahatma Gandhi's idea was different. He said that if we go on with this idea of untouchability, even for the next 100 years also if we struggle, we cannot get the Swaraj. Once till the untouchability is not eliminated, we cannot think of Swaraj. This is the idea of Gandhiji. He wanted inclusiveness. He wanted all the people to be together. And he started calling untouchables as Harijans, the children of God. And he organized satyagrahas to secure them entry into temples, access to public wells, tanks, roads and schools. Gandhiji not just fought with the Britishers, he fought his Indians also. He tried to change the mindset of the Indians to accept Dalits or untouchables as a part of the society. He himself cleaned toilets to dignify the work. Here bhagi in the sense, bhangi in the sense the sweepers, the people who sweep the toilets. And he persuaded upper class people, requested upper caste people to change their heart, to change their mind, and to avoid this sin of untouchability. He has persuaded the people that all are equal, all are the children of God. No, there is no discrimination. And in order to make the people realize, he himself started doing the work of the Sudras. Most probably Sudras, untouchables work is the like cleaning the toilets or cleaning the streets, washing the clothes. So he started doing all the works on his own to create a feeling of dignity of work among the people. But this is the idea of Gandhiji. He wanted to slowly change the minds of the people and wanted to include Dalits into the society as the part of society. But at this time, the Dalit leaders were different. Their thought was different. But they thought that political solution, socially okay, so society should accept them. That is one part. Second part, these people wanted political solution to their problem. And what is the political solution? So they were expecting to reserved. They started demanding reserved seats in educational institutions and a separate electorate that would choose Dalit members to legislative council. So they do not want to be along with general elections. Now we have general elections where all the people will take part and everyone has the right to vote. But here Dalits wanted separate electorate for them, separate region for them, separate elections for them, separate leader for them. So they thought that this political empowerment will solve their problems in the society, will resolve the social disabilities. So as Gandhiji's idea wanted to mix them as a part of society, whereas Dalits wanted separate society for themselves, separate elections for themselves, separate leader for themselves. So here conflict arises between the ideology of Gandhiji and the Dalits. So they didn't take part in the civil disobedience movement, especially the regions of Maharashtra and Nagpur region. They didn't take part in the civil disobedience movement. In the regions of Maharashtra and that to Nagpur region, this organization is very strong. So these people, and in this region, the participation of the Dalits in civil disobedience movement is very meager, very less. And when it comes to Dalits, the important person we have to remember is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the person who strived himself to study. He is a Dalit and he has struggled a lot to study, to reach to a position, and he knows the problems faced by the Dalits very well. So he is the person who was very adamant to go for separate electorate. He felt that with that political power only, political empowerment itself, Dalits can be developed in the society. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar organized Dalits into an association known as Depressed Classes Association in the year 1930. If you can recollect, Lord Irwin has called for first roundtable conference, for which leaders didn't go, Congress leaders didn't go. Instead, Jawaharlal Nehru has given a call for Purna Swaraj. Then Gandhiji has attended second roundtable conference after Gandhi-Irwin Pact, whereas Dr. B.R. Ambedkar attended both the meetings, first roundtable conference and second roundtable conference also. And when Gandhiji has come back, didn't accept the points discussed in the second roundtable conference for separate electorates for Dalits. Now, I said Gandhiji was not satisfied with the second roundtable conference. He has come back, relaunched civil disobedience movement we have discussed. The reason for Gandhiji's dissatisfaction was, instead of discussing about Swaraj, the British government has played its trick once again. What is the trick? Divide and rule policy. Instead of discussing about Swaraj, they started discussing about the communal things, like religious, on the basis of religion, on the basis of caste, separate electorates to be done, separate elections, separate legislatures. And B.R. Ambedkar was in favor of this idea of separate electorate for the Dalits. Means separate area, separate region for the Dalits, separate election, separate leader. Then what happens? Slowly people will feel alienated from the society. Then they feel that there is a separate region. Then India may split into different regions. Already Pakistan demand is going on. So again, then India won't be the whole. It cannot. It's very difficult to merge India into a overall one nation. So it becomes into different splits. It may split into different regions as per the caste, as per the religion, as per the language. So Gandhiji doesn't want this. He wanted the united India, all the people with variations, with diversities, to staying together. That's the idea of Gandhiji. So British government was in favor of, British government conceded Ambedkar's demand. They started accepting Ambedkar's demand of separate electorate for Dalit. Then Gandhiji began fast unto death. He believed that if he cannot stop them now, then surely India will be divided into different partitions as per the region, maybe as per the caste, as per the language. He doesn't want that. He believed that separate electorate for Dalit would slow down the process of integration into a society. All the people staying together as a society becomes very tough task if separate electorate's idea comes. Then Gandhiji was fast unto death, and Ambedkar, though he was very adamant, he wanted separate electorate for the Dalits so that they can be politically powerful. But looking at the condition of Gandhiji and looking at the popularity of Gandhiji, he doesn't want to lose Gandhiji. He doesn't want to Gandhiji to die for the sake of the separate electorate for the Dalits, and he is a mature person himself. So finally there was an agreement between Gandhiji and B.R. Ambedkar. It is known as Pune Pact, and that agreement happened in the year 1932 September. As per this agreement, now what happened? They started making it as reservations. They started making reservations. This process of reservations started after this Pune Pact, and Ambedkar accepted for it. I'll show you through a map. So instead of separate electorate for the scheduled caste people, earlier, if you can remember, earlier they were known as Sudras, then untouchables, then Dalits, then Gandhiji started calling them as Harijans. Now once this reservation system is done, they started being calling as scheduled caste. Okay, so those people started giving this is the idea during the Pune Pact. This agreement is been done. Instead of separate electorate, separate places are being reserved for them, where only from these places only scheduled caste person, it's general election itself, whereas scheduled caste person only will contest in these areas during the time of election. Can you recollect it? This is your class 9th lesson. Constituencies we have discussed. Okay, these are all the constituencies. Means each constituency one leader will be elected by the people. So here it gave the depressed classes. The reservation system has given the depressed classes. They will be voted in the general electorate itself. No separate elections. General elections only they will be voted. But their seats were reserved. Some seats were reserved for scheduled caste people in the provincial and central legislative councils, as I have shown in the India map just now. Even then, Ambedkar has come into agreement with Gandhiji known as Pune Pact. Even then, the Dalit movement, however, continued to be apprehensive. Apprehensive in the sense like fear that something bad may happen. They were very much fearful about the majority Hindus in the Congress party and conservative thoughts among the Hindus. But till today, it's been going on really well, and all the people are enjoying their benefits. It is the case of Dalits. Here now till now we have discussed why Dalits didn't take active part in the civil disobedience movement. Here you need to remember the name of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Depressed Classes Association, and Pune Pact between Gandhiji and Ambedkar. Now let us see another social group which is lukewarm during the during the civil disobedience movement, and they were Muslims. Muslim political organizations in India were lukewarm in the sense not much active in their response to civil disobedience movement. And here, after the decline of non-cooperation movement, if you can recollect, Gandhiji included Khilafat issue and Swaraj together and started non-cooperation movement. And both Hindus and Muslims together took very active part in non-cooperation movement. It was the first widespread movement or mass movement all over India, where all the sections of the society have involved actively. But due to the violence, Gandhiji has to call off this non-cooperation movement in the year 1922. So but after that movement, then the Muslims started feeling alienated. They started feeling that they are away, they are not related, they are not able to link with the Congress party easily. Reason, because they have seen that Congress party was somewhat close to Hindu religious nationalist group like Hindu Mahasabha. Like if you see, Muslim League is a party which totally believes in the ideology or giving support to the Muslims, whereas Hindu Mahasabha is a party which is set up on the Hindu religious ideologies. So if on the religious basis, if parties have come up, then surely people will feel alienated, apprehensive of each other. As relations between Hindus and Muslims worsened, each community organized religious processions and Hindu-Muslim communal clashes, riots. Whenever Hindu-Muslim clashes were going on, the distance between them has started moving away. So every riot deepened the distance between the two communities. Congress and Muslim League made efforts to make the alliance. If you can recollect 1928, when Simon Commission has reached India, at that time also Hindus and Muslims together very actively took part in the movement. In the Simon Commission has reached, Simon go back slogans were given, all the people here even. So in 1927 it appeared that okay, that such unity can be done. But again after that, again people's differences started rising among Hindus and Muslims. So main point of difference among the one was representation in the future assemblies that were to be elected. Like just now we have seen for Dalits, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's ideology of separate electorate. In the same way, Muslims were also apprehensive about the Hindu majority and they wanted separate electorate for themselves. And Muslim League party leader was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was one of the leaders of Muslim League and was willing to give away the demand of separate electorates if Muslims were assured of reserved seat in the Central Assembly. Like for Dalits, reservations are done, some seats are reserved for them. In the same way, Jinnah also said that if for Muslims also, if we get assurance of reserved seats in Central Assembly and representation in the Muslim dominated provinces like Bengal province and the Punjab province. I will show in the map this point. So he said that if some reservations are allotted for us, even I am ready to leave the idea of separate electorate. But at these negotiations have lost its hope when all parties conference in 1928 disappeared, when M.R. Jayakar of Hindu Mahasabha strongly opposed the efforts to compromise. M.R. Jayakar strongly opposed the reservation system for the Muslims. Finally, the Muhammad Ali Jinnah insisting on separate electorate for Muslims and leading to partition of India into two parts. When civil disobedience movement started, there was thus an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust between the communities, between Hindus and Muslims each other. Alienated from the Congress, large sections of Muslims could not respond to the call for a united struggle. Many Muslim leaders and intellectuals expressed their concern about the status of Muslims as a minority within India. They feared that as minority they may not get equal status in India under the Hindu majority. But it's a wrong notion, no? Till today we have seen India was a vast country with many diversities and all the sections of the society have got equal importance and equal prominence till today. So these fears of Muslim leaders were, we can call it as, were not real. because the reality is India is a secular country which gives equal importance to all the sections of the society. Okay, have a look at the map here. So earlier this area is referred to as Punjab province. This overall area is referred to as Punjab province, and this area is referred to as Bengal province. Okay, so here West Pakistan and East Pakistan, Muslim majority people were here, so they wanted separate reservations here. Muslims wanted separate electorate, and then finally leading to the partition of West Pakistan and East Pakistan, and a lot of violence spread at this time. You can see this index also, you can check. Blue color line indicate this green color indicates movement of Muslim refugees from India, Muslim refugees going to India, and then red color line indicates Hindus and Sikhs refugees. So here this red color lines, Hindus and Sikhs from Pakistan region coming to India, and even Bengal region also you can find the same. Hindus and Muslims coming out, and Muslims are going to the region, leading to lot of violence. So here this star mark, intercommunal conflict, lot of violence spread at this time. Some lakhs of people have lost their lives, lost their property, and they have lost everything, and during the time of partition, leading to lot of violence. So here is the idea of Sir Muhammad Iqbal, the president of Muslim League in the year 1930, about their demand of separate electorates for the Muslims and for the creation of Pakistan, for the Pakistan demand that came up in the subsequent years. So in this paragraph he expressed his feelings. So what he has, I have no hesitation in declaring that if the principle of Indian Muslim was entitled to full and free development. So here is saying that if on the own land, Indian own lands, if we get assurance that in Muslims will be entitled to full and free development, we have no such effort. But if a feeling of narrow communalism arises, and a community which is inspired by feelings of ill will towards other communities is low and ignorable, then communal, his fear is if communalism idea spread, communalism in the sense feeling that my religion is superior to other religions, that feeling is referred to, that ideology is referred to as communalism. He is afraid, he is feeling that if that feeling of communalism spreads, then the minorities may not get equal importance in the society. That is his intention here. And communalism in his higher aspect, that he is saying that in India, not like because ours is that communal feelings are in India, not in European countries. So we cannot take the European democracy, principle of European democracy into India, because in India the communal groups exist. That was his idea. Though there were few groups, communalism ideas, few groups, but our secularism is strong enough to defeat the idea of communalism in India. So no need to be afraid of the fear of communal feelings. So this was the idea. So this is the idea of Sir Muhammad Iqbal, president of Muslim League. On this ideology, he has demanded for a separate nation for Pakistan, which led to the partition of India into Pakistan, East Pakistan and West Pakistan, leading to lot of violence, spread of violence. So in this picture you can see Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Maulana Azad. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, our first education minister once we have got independent India, freedom in India. So Maulana Azad believed in the secular feelings of India. He tried to convince, but few people didn't accept his ideology. He was with the Congress party, he was in India. And after the partition, it's not that every person's ideology is separate Pakistan or separate electorate. There are few Muslims who believed in the concept of inclusive society, and they have decided to stay back in India. So Abdul Kalam, Maulana Azad was one among them. So here you can see they were at Sevagram Ashram, Wardha in the year 1935. Let us recapitulate the points which we have discussed in today's topic. So today's topic is limits of civil disobedience movement. Two major points we have discussed. It is one is caste and another one is religion. Okay, under caste we have discussed about untouchables, who later on started calling themselves as Dalits are oppressed people, whereas Gandhiji has given the name Harijans, the children of God, and he has led many satyagrahas so that the society accept them as the part of the society, and he urged the conservatives to avoid the feeling of untouchability, to include Harijans as part of the society. Whereas Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who himself is a Dalit who has gone to lot of oppression, he didn't believe in his concept. He thought that political empowerment is required for the Dalits to develop. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he set up an association known as Depressed Classes Association in the year 1930, and he wanted political empowerment in the way of separate electorates. Whereas Gandhiji again is this idea. There was clash between Ambedkar and Gandhiji, but finally there was an agreement between both. It is known as Pune Pact. It's an agreement between Gandhiji and Ambedkar, and Gandhiji has accepted for the idea of reservations, where separate places, seats are being reserved for scheduled caste people. Clear? And then comes the next social group, that is religion, and in that Muslims. And here the active prominent role taken was Muslim League, and the leader of Muslim League was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who is very adamant, the person behind the partition of India. And then comes Hindu Mahasabha, one more religious group or one more religious party. M.R. Jayakar is the prominent role. So these names you need to remember when you get a question, what are the limits of civil disobedience movement. Hope you have understood the topic. If you have any queries, you can message me. Thank you.